After release of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 9, all the attention has rightfully been on Himawari meeting Kurama and Boruto being confirmed to be afraid to use his Karma Seal. There are two other important things of note that have happened in the chapter that really stood out to me as I read it, and I want to discuss this with you this week while everyone is still riding super high on the chapter itself, which are the impacts that we have of the narrative from Team 10 versus Jura, but also today's video topic, which is the very clear and ominous setup that has happened for Sarada and Class Rep to fight against Hidari and potentially have that fight be the one that shakes the story up in a major way. Obviously, this is not going to be a review, which will be linked in the description box and in the end credits of this video for those of you guys who haven't seen the review that went up yesterday. So longtime viewers of the channel, you guys know I've been pounding the table for months now that Sarada versus Hidari is going to have a major impact on the story for more than just scaling importance, which is going to be a whole nuclear warhead that goes off for the people who think that Sarada didn't get any stronger following the end of part 1 and think that she's only at, say, Datara level, but more so because of something that I noticed when it came to the behavior of the Shinju and their method of choosing targets to devour now that they are awakened. And this newest chapter is added some more subtle layers on top of it that I want to bring to you guys' attention. So as Sarada and Class Rep were running towards the battlefield, we had a moment where as Inojin was saving the members of Team 10 and Himawari, Hidari was shown looking baffled by what it was he was seeing and asking Jura, hey, is it okay if they get away? And he referred to the kids as being, quote, fools. They don't seem to be too intelligent, end quote. Highly ironic given the fact that this dude was walking around the bookstore looking dumber than 12-year-old Naruto. And I thought the whole timing of this whole situation, it was very telling because it came right after Sarada was shown running in the direction of the battlefield and Jura was written as saying something very important, which was bolded, mind you, which was there was something driving Team 10 to go past their survival instincts to protect Himawari, and it made him curious. We as the audience, we know what that something is. It's the bonds and the connections that they have formed with Himawari during the 3 years that it was that they trained him. It's why Sasuke spoke about in Naruto Part 1 about how his body was just acting on his own because despite all that bravado that he had, that he put on in front of Naruto, saying Naruto was a super annoying guy, that he viewed him as an annoyance, he also viewed Naruto as a comrade and like a brother. And you could argue that to an extent, the members of Team 10, they very likely view Himawari as being more than just a comrade who they've been training with in order to help her get stronger. In the case of Shikadai, someone who was extremely close to Boruto growing up, going as far back as Shikadai's initial introduction in Naruto chapter 700, it's very possible that Shikadai views Himawari as being like his younger sister because he himself viewed Boruto like a brother he never had because Shikamaru was too lazy to get it up when Tamari said she wanted another kid. The Shinju, they have awakened, but the responses show that they might have speech capabilities like humans, they might have free will like humans to choose what it is that they want to do, what it is they don't want to do, but they don't understand what it means to be human. They are acting very much like how myself and the guys over Anime Balls Deep said a few years ago in regards to Mitsuki, which is that Mitsuki was going through the stages of development to unlock his humanity because Mitsuki is a clone of Orochimaru and he's on his own journey to discover humanity. These Shinju, when Boruto fled Jura, he referred to all the Shinju as them having awakened. They're going to go down this path of getting new stimulation, new experiences, and this encounter with Team 10 and Himawari, it has Jura going down that path of understanding the human heart even more, saying that it is very crucial he understands what it is that's driving them. And you got Hidari saying that the kids don't seem to be so intelligent so soon after we see Sarada running towards that battlefield. It feels like this is another subtle brick added to the inevitable battle of Sarada and Class Rep versus Hidari. Many of the comments I've seen over the last month, they've been people saying they find it odd and strange that Hidari was so much of a follower, going behind Jura and helping Jura accomplish his goal of devouring Naruto, walking in a bookstore when the man clearly is looking for the pop-up book section. And when Hidari was inside the village, they said, hey, he should be going to go look for Sarada. And the reason I held off on addressing that until now was I was very certain that we would get another potential nugget planted into the narrative that would give us us indirect reasoning as to why this is, and I think that we finally got it. Jura has just come to realize that there's something other than survival instincts that drive human beings, and he's ready to give chase after Team 10. Who's the one left to try to understand that aspect of humanity? It's Hidari. And how do you have Hidari come to that realization? Have it by having him encounter the daughter of the very man whose chakra he was used to be made a Shinju clone of. It absolutely wasn't by mistake that Hidari, when he walked into Konoha, was called Sasuke Uchiha. Yes, it was meant for readers to get confirmation that Hidari is indeed made up of Sasuke's chakra. On the off chance there were still people out there who had questions, the narrative, it did that to clear that up, but it also was to start the ball rolling on positioning Sarada versus Hidari to start interacting. Who was shown moments after they said Sasuke is back in the village? It was Sarada who was shown, and that was not by mistake. It was a very subtle nod to get readers accustomed to Hidari and Sarada to some capacity before you have them start sharing screen time together. Just as it took Jura mixing up with Team 10 and standing between himself and his target Himawari, it's likely gonna take a very similar situation for Hidari when it comes to Sarada. She's the one thing that would make Hidari not follow after Jura, and as we've been seeing, Jura isn't above letting the other Shinju follow their own paths towards their own version of enlightenment / awakening. While he has shown that he has made faces towards Hidari, he has also been shown that he's in a position where his own curiosity is pushing him toward Himawari, and she's now within his grasp. That's going to leave room for Hidari to interact with Sarada. And my God, are we going to be in for something really, really great? You guys have heard me say it before. This is like a key premise to the whole thought process. Chakra, it contains memories. It's something that the story has shown to us numerous times, from going as far back as Naruto's manga. Say, for instance, Naruto and Hashirama sharing memories through chakra, and Naruto showing the struggles of his hard work to Boruto when he gave him the chakra for the Rasengan. And clones, they're no different, as we've seen with Kashi and Koji having the genetic memories of his clone Jiraiya. In the chapter after we got introduced to Hidari, we just happened to learn what happened to Sasuke, and what we saw was Sasuke in his last thoughts before he charged into battle where he would ultimately get struck down. His thoughts were about the safety of his daughter Sarada. Those emotions likely played a very strong role in Hidari wanting to seek out Sarada to eat. Just as Jura was being implied to be the main body of the Ten Tails went missing, being the one to seek out Kurama, as we saw in this chapter. At the time, going after Naruto, who was the last Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails and the last one to have vestiges of the Chakra of the Nine Biju, making Naruto a pseudo Ten Tails Jinchuriki, and Jura just happens to be going after Naruto, which has shifted him to going after Himawari. Now, when you look at it, Hidari and him interacting with Sarada, it's gonna stir something up inside of him. And just as Jura, when he learned that there were things like camaraderie that override survival instincts, it's very likely gonna be the battle with Sarada and Class Rep that does this here. But I think there are potentially some other trigger points that we're not looking at. If you're gonna go down, say, a similar path, it took comrades defending one another from a target Jura was after to get his wheel spinning. Saw Team 10 protect Himawari and said, hey, that's strange. Sarada just happens to be coming to the battlefield with Class Rep, serving as her comrade, her backup, her shield, and she could happen to play a similar role that Inoji and Team 10 played for Himawari during their interaction with Jura. Only, again, you swap out Team 10 for Class Rep. The one thing is the connections. That's the common theme. Just as Jura had that strong connection towards Kurama, it is likely that father-daughter connection through the chakra is going to play a role at some point when Sarada and Hidari start fighting. Regardless as to if and when Sarada is shown scoring licks on Hidari or is shown dodging and reacting to some of the attacks, implying some form of relativity, the important thing that we're seeing here is that Hidari starts getting a reaction through the fight itself, and Sarada's mangekyou Sharingan, which we just happen to have never seen her use in battle before, could be one of those jarring points that is needed to lead to more questions that get planted into Hidari's mind, because again, chakra contains memories, even if it's a flashback that isn't shown. All seeing the mangekyou Sharingan needs to do is start planting a seed, and it's going to get watered over time, which is all we really need, a slow burner to get to that moment where Hidari has its own awakening. Some of Sasuke's last memories he had of his daughter, if not the last memory of his daughter, was how passionate she was when she was pleading for Boruto, where she was defying all logic by saying, I need you to protect the guy everyone said killed the Hokage, and that led to Sasuke defying his own logic. Hidari seeing that side out of Sarada, protecting class rep and vice versa, seeing Sarada being super protected by class rep, seeing Sarada use her mangekyou, the same mangekyou that reflects the emotions of the heart, and it drove Sasuke into trusting Sarada despite his own doubts, and by extension trusting Boruto. It's going to affect Hidari on a subconscious level, and I think that's what makes the pending battle that we're about to see hit that much harder, especially given that the stakes that we have with Boruto and what it can do for his internal conflict. He told Sasuke he would protect Sarada, and you can tell he took that promise to heart, and he's flying off in some unknown direction right now. He's got his promise to Sasuke, but he's also got his duty to Himawari as her big brother to protect her, and both right now they're being targeted by the Shinju. It's going to lead to a great internal conflict for Boruto, and it's going to place him in a situation that Minato found himself in quite a lot, which is Minato, he had the jutsu where he could be everywhere in a matter of minutes, seconds. You blink and you miss Minato, but there were times where Mr. Flying Raijin just never seemed to get where he needed to on time. Obito went splat, and Rin ended up getting penetrated by Kakashi in ways that she never expected, nor did she ever want. There are a few ways that this can go, and honestly, as a reader, I am so excited, because when you have multiple things cooking in the oven while other parts of the story are being cooked on the stovetop, it can be very easy to forget what's in the oven that's being cooked up on a slow roast. One of those things being Kawaki's eventual meltdown, and that's why I love the seeds that are being planted that are leading up to this fight that we're going to have with Sarada and Hidari. While the number crunchers who calculate the number of gigaseptillions that come from Sarada and Hidari locking blows and shaking the village and all this other stuff, right? They get super excited about the power scaling. I don't give a damn about none of that stuff. It's the narrative stuff that has me super excited to see where this goes forward, because that totally fits into the theme of fatherhood, which this video you see here covers. However, obviously, if you haven't seen the Boruto chapter review, you want to click on this video instead.